Hello.
Hello,
Can you hear me okay?
how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Perfect. I think there's a little delay, but
Okay.
I can hear perfectly.
Noted.
Oh, perfect. I'm so happy to have you. You influence many people and me as well. I saw your video I think it was like 2 years ago, like a video where you explained about I think it was the bees and honey or something. And I was super happy because that's a subject that I didn't really know what to say when someone was asking me. And yeah, you helped me a lot with many subjects actually. So I'm super happy to have you.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
And so I have just Tabitha. She's, I think she have a little problem to connect. So maybe I'm gonna probably ask you if it's okay for you to maybe talk a little bit about your vegan journey, how and why you became vegan. And in the meantime, maybe I'm gonna call her really quick. I'm gonna mute my microphone. I'm really sorry to put you on the spot like that, but
That's
it's just
okay.
I want to make sure that okay. So yeah, I let you introduce
Thanks.
yourself. And
Yeah.
sorry.
I've told this story before, so it's all good. And I tell this story. I actually, open my new book telling my story because I think sharing our story, our vegan journey, is really critical and really vital to inspiring others. Because I think it's one of the things we can do to really help mirror back to other people their own compassion. And so, my story isn't unusual, and I think that's what makes it compelling for people when they hear it. For non-vegans especially. And it's very simple. I mean, I was a kid who grew up eating animals, and I also loved animals. I would never hurt an animal directly. I grew up with a father who owned ice cream stores, so I ate a lot of animal products, and I grew up liking them. I had no idea I was contributing to animal suffering. And so when I found out, and of course it's a journey for all of us, and it happens in bits and pieces, I read Diet for a New America, John Robbins' book, and that was the first book that compelled me to really face what I was contributing to. I had never seen photos of animals in factory situations. I had never realized that they were so horribly confined and terribly treated, and I mean, just enduring so much violence and cruelty. And so that was the beginning, and I stopped eating land animals, but it wasn't the end. And I missed the boat on dairy and eggs. And so eventually just kept reading more and learning more. And it took several years before I read a book called Slaughterhouse. And that was the book that completely turned me and made the impact having to do with the violence that is inherent in the meat, dairy, and egg industries. You can't escape the violence. You can't escape the culture of violence that is the meat, dairy, and egg industries. And so I was just incredibly struck by and so offended by the amount of violence that takes place. Desensitized workers, and they're desensitized to their own compassion, and they're desensitized to the animal suffering. And so I want to say it was the light bulb. I want to say it was the light switch, but a lot had led up to that point. And I think that's something we have to remember, is that when people say I went vegan overnight, most of us have had some seeds planted so that by the time that light switch goes off or on, it's been an accumulation of information. And so I think the reason I want to emphasize that is for those of us who feel disheartened by information we share with people and think that they're not paying attention. They are paying attention. What you share, what you say gets seeded, and you just don't have any control over when it's going to actually manifest and take off. So that's my story in a nutshell. And then, became an activist and an advocate. And that's been, it's been 22 years now, 21 years.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for saying that, because it's true that some people feel sometimes discouraged to see other people, they get vegan in one day. And me, it's been a year and I'm still going slowly. And it's actually true what you say. For some people, it can take more time, and it's okay. And it's the most important is that they try. And yeah, and we have Tabitha. She just accepted, so she should be there in a second. Actually, maybe I'm gonna ask you. I have a question that I prepared for you just before she arrived. It's on actually the Joyful Vegan. I love the way you describe your books. And I just want to read basically what you say, because I think you explained this perfectly. And maybe if you want to give more information on that. So when you write the book, you say that after looking at data available and talk to thousands of vegans, people stay vegan or stop being vegan depending on how well they navigate the social, cultural, and emotional aspects of being vegan in a not vegan world. And this is beautiful, because nobody think about that. Why we have those influencers that promote veganism, and then from a day to another they're not vegan anymore. And so yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I know Tabitha's going to come on and everyone will be excited about that. But in short, when it comes down to it, when people become vegan or stop being vegan, it the food has little to do with it. And I focus on food in addition to other things. But food is one thing. People can find recipes. People can learn new skills. That's the easy part when people transition to becoming vegan or are vegan for a time. The tough part, the most difficult part, the most challenging part for people are the social aspects. We are social creatures. If the pandemic and the lockdown doesn't demonstrate that, I don't know what would. People are suffering literally because we can't connect physically with each other. We are social creatures, and what our family members and friends and community members think about us and how we feel embraced by them or not will have an impact on our emotional state. And if we associate that being vegan is the thing that separates us from or causes difficulty in conflict in the relationships we have, if we think that is the issue, that being vegan causes the conflict, we could stop being vegan. It's not being vegan that causes the conflict. It's that we haven't found a way to navigate both standing up for what we believe in, living according to our own values, and still navigating the social relationships that we have. And that is the key. That's the key to remaining vegan, but it's also the key to remaining joyful. And it's the key to remaining joyfully vegan. But it has so much to do with it, because you might look at the joyful vegan or hear that description, or anybody who's listening, and say, I would never stop being vegan. That's not the risk for me. Well, maybe that's not the risk for you, but maybe being angry is. Maybe being constantly angry or outraged or indignant or judgmental. All of those things are not optimal. That's not what we want. We can still be fierce in our beliefs while still being joyful. We don't have to be outraged. We don't have to feel bad. The whole point is to manifest our compassion and joy. That's what being vegan means. So you might not feel like you're at risk for not being vegan, but you might feel you are in distress, that you're sad, that you're depressed, that you're frustrated, that you're angry, all of those things. And so that's the point of all that.
I'm so sorry to jump in the middle.
Not a problem. Don't worry.
I was like, of course we test everything, and then of course the day of, all the technical difficulties happen, right?
Yeah. Oh, actually, what are those jelly you have? Is it what we just saw?
They are slices of oranges.
That's so funny.
Wow. That's amazing. Did you know they were here? I mean, did you saw them and then you put those, or no?
Somebody sent them to me. Kelly's croutons, she sent them to me as a gift.
So it's probably them, because they talked to me about that, yeah.
Huh?
It's probably them. We had a brand just before called Slices of Citrus, and it was
that's them. Oh,
yeah.
I missed the whole thing. Yes.
And that's actually real fruit and 100% organic.
Yes. I love it.
And yes, actually, we did a quick introduction. Yeah, hi.
I know. I'm sorry. Let me close this computer that was not working. Now I'm on my phone.
Oh, no problem. So we did a quick introduction with Colleen was explaining her journey, and then we were talking on how people sometimes can go vegan, and then from a day to another they decide to stop, and that it's mainly because of all the social aspect, and she explained it so much better than me right now. But that actually perfect, because we were getting to the point that I wanted to talk about, which is how to be happy with a vegan diet, how to not get bored, and even though it's something that is not true, but many people think that it's boring to be vegan. And so maybe just we can have your vegan journey, Tabitha, if you can just let us know, like, just tell us like how you became vegan and why. And then we will jump again in the conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I I went vegan. It's been almost 3 years. August will be 3 years. Is this light? Can y'all see me, or is it just on my side where it's like a bright light?
Nice,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
It's you. That's you.
So I I was very sick for a year and a half, and the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And so I had like chronic fatigue, chronic pain. I had a resting headache in the back of my head for 1 year and 7 months every single day. And I just couldn't get well. You know, all my lady things were happening. They were just shutting down. It was just honey, my body was a wreck. And the doctors just still, after so many visits to the doctor, week after week, month after month, still couldn't figure out what the problem was. And then my daughter came home from school one day and said, "Ooh, Mom, we saw this documentary at school. I think you should watch it." And it was What the Hell. And I thought, okay, you know, it ain't every day a teenager come home and say, "Ooh, you should watch something." A documentary, okay? And so I watched it with my husband, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." And what got me is when they said, you know, not all diseases are hereditary. They will eat the same thing, causing the same disease. And for me, my mom died at 51 of ALS. My dad is 68, and he's the oldest male to ever live in our family. And diseases and heart attacks and strokes and all these things happen early on in my family at young ages. And in that moment, I thought, well, meat was the only common denominator. And it was also the only thing I had not tried. And so I decided to do a 30-day vegan challenge just to see if it made a difference. And then in the first 10 days, my headache went away. And I was pretty much sold at that point. I was sold on it at that point. And after the 30-day challenge that we, you know, decided to do as a family, I didn't want to go back. I started feeling amazing again. I started getting energy again. And I was just like, you know what? This is my path. And I ain't never looked back, and I just started eating good and feeling good, and it's been amazing.
They're actually talking about 30-day vegan challenge. Colleen have a program called 30-day vegan challenge.
Oh,
and
nice.
if you want to talk a little bit about this for people who will want to try for 30 days.
Oh, very good. I always say I did a 30-day challenge that literally saved and changed my life. I mean, all we got to do is be willing to give ourselves 30 days. But also, to do anything, we got to know what is our why. Why do you want to be vegan? Why do you want to do anything? But if you're going on this path, what is your why? And the why has to really mean something to you. And over time, the why changes, you know, as you grow. You know, for me, the original reason I did it was to save my life, right? But then as I felt better and did that, it became a bigger picture for other people, animals, the environment, everything starts to play a role at that point. Yes.
And what about you, Colleen? About your 30-day program?
Yeah, well, Tabitha said it, you know, so I created the program because so many people want to make changes. They have a why. They might have a little tiny why. They might have a curious why, but they have an interest, but they don't know how to do it. And it's the how that I think really trips people up. And people who try in earnest and they, you know, do it on their own and they're just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'll just stop, but I don't know what I'm doing. If they don't have some kind of foundation that they lay along the way and replacing the things that are familiar to them along the way, they will flail. They will think they failed. They will think there's something wrong with them, or they'll think there's something wrong with veganism. And they will stop and never look back and say, yeah, it's not for me. It's for some people, but it's not for me. And so the 30-day vegan challenge, and I have the book right behind me. I have a book, and there's the online program too. But the point is that I guide people and hold their hand throughout the 30 days to help them replace old habits with new ones, because that's the key. And then at the end, and I always attribute it to like the Karate Kid at the end, like the Karate Kid, when he was like the whole movie, he's like learning how to do the paint and he's doing this and that. And he's like, why am I doing this? This is so stupid. And then all of a sudden he realizes he has these skills and he can do it on his own, and it defends him and it protects him. And so that's the idea, is that at the end of the 30 days, you realize you have these new skills and tools that you didn't even know you were building, but you have to be willing to try it. And I always say to people, I don't care why you come into it. Everyone comes in through a different door. They stay for different reasons. They stay for multiple reasons. It doesn't matter why you come into it. The results are the same if you're at least willing to say, I'm willing to do it for 30 days. Because if you just say, yeah, I'll cut down, yeah, I'll cut back, it doesn't work. And even behavior modification experts would agree to this, vegan or not. Like, it doesn't have to do with veganism. If you do it for 30 days, you're challenging yourself. And that's why I call it the challenge, because people kind of like that too. It makes them go, I can do that. Don't tell me I can do that for 30 days. I can do that for 30 days. And so what you do is then when you're confronted at a work event or a social event or a restaurant, or you're out with coworkers, instead of saying, I'm just cutting down, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll not eat the burger tomorrow. Instead, you go, wait a second, I'm doing this 30-day vegan challenge. What's over here that I've never looked at before? And you start to see things that you never, ever looked at before. And that's what helps create those new habits and new tools. So that's what it is. And it's a book and it's an online program. And I'm very grateful. I know it worked, but I attribute that to the openness of the people who come to it. I'm the conduit. Here's the information. Want to share it with you, but it's the people doing the work. It's the people being willing to do it I attribute it to their success.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I want to add to that is what helped me and what I always share with other people, we didn't stop eating it because we didn't like how it tasted. Right. So whatever your favorite non-vegan thing is, honey, figure out how to make that vegan. Figure out the vegan option for that. That way, when you have your cravings, you know how to, to fill it.
That's exactly right. And I always say, Tabitha, I mean, I watch you and we're just kismet because we have the same exact perspective. I always say it's not animal products we crave. It's fat, salt, texture, flavor, and familiarity. That's what it is. We don't crave the flesh of other animals. We are not obligate carnivores. It's the fat, it's the salt, it's the texture, it's the mouthfeel, it's the chewiness, it's the familiarity. It's just something looking like or smelling like the thing that we always loved. And so everybody who's like, well, vegans really just want to eat meat because, why are they eating all the fake stuff? Because I didn't stop wanting to chew when I became vegan. I still want all the flavor. And frankly, the flavor is in the plant foods. It's in the spices. We flavor our meat with plants.
Absolutely.
So spices, herbs, all of
that. So really, you're not really craving the meat. You're craving the plants that flavor the meat.
Exactly.
Because nobody will eat a piece of meat that ain't got no flavor. Okay.
That's right. Or not cooked.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Actually, I would say I see someone say I'm 2 weeks in, and I would say for people who are vegan for a few times, congratulations first. And for people who are vegan just for a few times, and sometimes they're like, oh, I'm craving meat a little bit. It's also very important to change your perspective and try to see the animal point of view. Because of course, there's the taste and everything, but there's as well an animal over there that we kill for your food, and that's something that people should take as well in consideration. That can help them to actually keep on going. And we're actually that's the main question that I wanted to talk to you about, because I have always these amazing recipes. Actually, I did the carrot bacon. I will show you at the end.
Very good.
Because I see this video everywhere those days. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try. And it's actually super easy to make. So I'm going to show them at the end. I didn't even try them yet. So how to not get bored with a vegan diet? I don't know if you want to start, but that's a question that can come very often.
Well, it's kind of like we just said, what she was saying, make it familiar, right? And what I was saying, whatever your favorite non-vegan thing is, figure out how to make it vegan. Have fun. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't overthink it. Just have fun. That's what I do. I just have fun in the kitchen and think of stuff. I'd be like, oh, you know what? This might be good with that. And just try it. And honey, if it tastes nasty, oh well, try again. But you just have to have fun and explore and try new things that you never tried before. You really have to be open-minded to go on this journey. Because you got to try new things that you never tried before. You got to do things with veggies and fruit that you never did before to get certain, taste and experience.
And that's what's exciting, right? Because what's the alternative? Just like do nothing different? Like that's not life. Like, that's just apathy. Like, that's not what living is all about. And so try new things, open your mind. Like, that's like, that seems pretty good. Like, in general in life, right?
Right.
And yeah, so the other thing too is I so much of this is perspective. It's not just the skills you learn. It's not just the actual tangible, practical things you do. So much of it is perspective. And so let's keep things in perspective. People get bored with what they're eating when they're eating animals, right? Yeah. So the idea that like everyone's eating this huge variety when they're eating animal products, and then they think about being vegan, they're like, oh my God, it's going to be like so boring. It's just a couple things. It's like, you eat the same 5 things all the time. Like,
yeah, I always say that. I'm like, you got 5 things that you can eat. On the other side, you have thousands of things that you can eat. So I always tell people, when it comes to what when you start, think about everything that you can't eat first, because the list is smaller.
That's right. That's right. You don't eat like meat, dairy, and eggs.
Seafood,
honey, seafood, right? And then like thousands of edible plant
everything
food.
else you can have. You can have everything else.
That's so beautiful. Like, that is what is so beautiful. And to Tabitha's points, one of the things I say in the 30-day vegan challenge, when you're kind of creating, first of all, I do encourage people to just look at what they're eating for 3 days before they even start the 30-day vegan challenge, because you don't know how much you eat until you stop. Everyone says, I don't eat a lot of meat. And yet, 10 billion land animals are killed every year in the US alone. Someone's eating the animals, right? And so you don't know how much you do anything until you stop and pay attention. So kind of first look at what you are eating. And then, so what things are you already eating? You're already eating, hopefully for your sake, things that are plant-based, like you're probably already doing that. Then second, what are the things that you're eating that you can easily replace and use and just like it's like your pasta with your, meat sauce. So just use meat crumbles instead, for instance. And then 3 new recipes. So like, really, you're only learning a couple new things. You're looking at what you're already doing and just, taking that out of the vegan box and saying, oh, I'm already doing that. It's just, I never called it vegan before.
Right.
Exactly. And so what would be your best, if you had one tips to give on how to influence people into a vegan diet? What would be your best tips?
Wait, repeat the question.
If let's say I want to influence someone into a vegan diet, what should I tell them? What will be your best advice for what best advice will you give me to tell them?
Oh, if I wanted to give someone advice who was starting on a vegan journey?
Yeah.
The first and foremost thing, like I always say, know your why. Know your why you're starting, right? 2, don't be hard on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. And 3, take it day by day and have fun. Those are the most important things to me. Because if you start overthinking it, baby, you gone. The moment you get in your head, because the word vegan, people already freak out. They already freak out and like, no, I can't do that. Now, the thing that always makes me like literally die laughing when people say, where do you get vegan food? And I'd be like, you ain't never had an apple.
Oh my goodness.
You never had a salad before, a cucumber, a tomato. Lord Jesus, a banana. Like, they don't, that comes from overthinking. So I always encourage people, please don't overthink. Please, just take it easy day by day. But yeah, that's what I would say.
And what about you, Colleen?
So yeah, very, very, very similar. Absolutely agree with everything Tabitha said. One thing that I hear from a lot of people is they say things like, I, could give up pork and I could give up beef, but I could never give up. And it's usually cheese. And I usually say, well, then why don't you give up pork and beef and keep eating cheese, but at least do something? And so that concept of don't do nothing because you can't do everything, do something, anything. It's that permission to be imperfect. It's that permission to start somewhere, as
Yeah.
opposed to thinking you're going to do nothing at all because you think you have to do everything. And that's what stops people from doing anything at all. And so that is the first thing I say to people is don't do nothing because you can't do everything. Just do something. And that makes a huge difference. And you'd think that would give people permission to just do enough and not do much. It actually is what gives them permission to really go further, because they start going, I could probably do more than what I'm doing right now. And that's a lot. And that empowers them to keep doing more.
I love that.
Yeah.
And also, if you don't do it yet, go follow Joyful Vegan. I mean, Colleen Patrick, but Joyful Vegan is your name on Instagram. And Tabitha Brown. So you will have amazing recipes, such as, I think that's the time for me to show it, right? Carrot bacon.
Right.
I did it through the oven. So should I try it?
Yeah.
Sure, yes.
Yeah.
Did you have it in the air fryer?
Oh, no, I put it in the oven.
In the oven, was very good.
I think it lost a little bit the crunch, but super good. That's super good. Everybody should try it. And yes, everybody should follow you. You actually share a lot of recipe. You share a lot of raw food as well, which I think it's amazing, because I think it's important to mix. Even like processed food can be good as well to not get bored, but you can as well do amazing food without using processed food. And thank you so much for sharing all that. And if you have another things to say before we end this conversation.
I don't have anything other than, thank you for having me. I'm sorry I was late, but thank you so much for your platform and what you're doing. I love you, honey. I love y'all's brand as well. So I think everything that you're doing is amazing. And Joyful Vegan, honey, I'll be on there. I'm like, very good, honey. We gotta keep spreading the good old message with the non-judgmental way. That's what will always bring people in.
Yeah. No, that's what we love about you, Tabitha. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and you, Joyful, you have a cooking class. Do you have one that is coming up?
I've been doing weekly virtual cooking classes. I taught cooking classes for 10 years, and it's been just so much fun to get back to them, but not have to lug everything to an external space and do the dishes. So it's been super fun. So we've been doing them every weekend. If you just go to joyfulvegan.com and then go to the events page, we have one for Mother's Day coming up. So on Saturday, in honor of all moms, encouraging folks to come. We've got some great recipes we're doing, and then you can bring your mom for free or sign up your mom for free if you when you register. But they've been wonderful. Yesterday we just did homemade from scratch. So we did tortillas, we did seitan, we did different milks. We've done so many different classes. We just did 5 weeks in a row. So it's been fantastic. And Tabitha, we should figure out a way to do something together and just I know we can figure that out technologically, because it's super fun and people love it so much.
That sounds fun, honey. Let me know.
All right. Well,
actually, someone just comment Joyful Vegan and Tab Cooking. That would be amazing.
Yeah, see, people are saying the same thing. Yes, we'll have to do that.
Oh, I love it. That's
awesome. That's very inspiring. Thank you so much. And I truly invite everybody to go follow you, because each video is gonna inspire you. It's gonna push you to do more, and it's gonna make you so happy. I swear, every time I watch your videos, I'm so happy. That's why I called this session the pursuit of vegan happiness, because that's really what I feel with you. And and I'm gonna eat all these carrots because it's my business, right?
Very good.
You see, I learned good.
Put it in a wrap with some avocado and some.
Oh yeah, I will do that.
Sounds so good. I'm so hungry right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Thank you again so much for.
Thank you guys. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Love you both.
Love you, hon. Bye.
Bye.
Up. Wait, let me remove that.